The Zorvith Empire had conquered hundreds of planets. Their fleets stretched across the stars, taking world after world with ease. To them, Earth was just another primitive rock, a weak planet ruled by a species that had never even left its solar system. Commander Valakor stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Tyrant's Fist. His golden eyes studied the small blue planet on the screen before him. A single world. One of his officers scoffed. They never even try to expand. Valakor smirked. Pathetic, isn't it? These creatures don't even know the power of the stars. They are weak, afraid, and small-minded. The Zorveth had studied humanity from afar. They saw their wars, their struggles, their short lifespans. To them, humans were nothing. And now, it was time to claim their world. Valakor turned to his second-in-command. Prepare the invasion fleet. This will be over before the next cycle. The fleet of 30 warships descended through the darkness of space, moving toward Earth like hungry beasts. The plan was simple: disable Earth's defenses, land troops, and take control. It was what the Zorvith did best. But something was wrong. As the first wave of ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the controls flickered. Lights dimmed. Power systems shut down without warning. "Commander, we're losing control," an officer shouted. Valkor's sharp teeth clenched. "What? That's impossible." One by one, the warships stalled. Engines stopped responding. Communication systems went silent. The mighty Zorveth fleet, capable of destroying entire planets, was falling from the sky. From the surface, humans looked up and saw flaming streaks in the night sky. They thought they were meteors. They had no idea an alien invasion had already failed before it began. Valkor's warship was the last to fall. The Tyrant's Fist crashed into the ocean, sinking beneath the waves as alarms blared through the ship. Water flooded the lower decks. Valakor gritted his teeth as he activated the emergency escape pod. As he launched toward the shore, his mind raced. This was not a coincidence. Earth was not what it seemed. And the Zorveth had made a terrible mistake. Commander Valkor's escape pod crashed onto a rocky shore. The hatch burst open, and he stumbled out, his golden eyes scanning the unfamiliar world. The air was thick, heavy with something unnatural. His body felt weaker. The very ground beneath him seemed to hum with an energy he didn't understand. His communicator was dead. His suit's power core was failing. "Impossible," he muttered. The Zorvith Empire had conquered countless worlds, but never had they lost power like this. Never had their technology failed them completely. He looked toward the sky. The fleet was gone. Valakor clenched his fists. No, he refused to believe it. They couldn't all be destroyed so easily. He turned his gaze to the horizon. A distant city, one of the human settlements. It was alive, untouched. The humans had no idea that an alien fleet had just tried to invade. Why? If Earth had some kind of planetary defense system, there should have been evidence: lasers, missiles, energy weapons. But there was nothing. Earth didn't fight back. It didn't need to. Something else had stopped the invasion. A rustling sound made Valakor spin around. His hand reached for his plasma blade, but it wasn't there. His weapons were gone, his armor barely functioning. Something was watching him. The trees stood unnaturally still, the wind silent, and yet he felt an overwhelming sense of presence. He was not alone. Then, a whisper. It wasn't Zorvith. It wasn't human. It was something else. Valakor felt fear for the first time in his life. Earth was not weak. Earth was hiding something, and the Zorveth had woken it up. Valakor moved cautiously through the thick forest. The shadows seemed to shift around him. Every instinct screamed at him to leave, but without his fleet, without his weapons, he was trapped on this strange world. The whispers continued, soft, faint, but everywhere. His sharp eyes scanned the trees, looking for movement. Nothing, but he knew something was watching. Then, a presence. A shape stepped out from the darkness. It wasn't human. It wasn't Zorveth. It was tall, covered in shifting patterns of black and silver, its body almost blending into the night. Its eyes glowed a deep, unnatural blue. Valkor took a step back. His body tensed. He had fought countless enemies before. But this was something else. The figure spoke. "You do not belong here." The voice was inside his mind, ancient and cold. It carried no anger, no emotion, only a warning. Valkor gritted his teeth. "Who are you?" The figure didn't answer. Instead, it raised a hand. The air around Valkor grew heavy, pressing down on him like an invisible force. His vision blurred. His limbs froze. Memories flooded his mind. Not his memories, but Earth's. He saw war, destruction, civilizations that had tried to take this planet before. They had all been erased. The figure's voice echoed again. "Your kind was not the first to come here, and you will not be the last." Valkor gasped as the pressure lifted. He collapsed to the ground, his heart pounding. He understood now. Earth didn't need advanced weapons. It didn't need an empire. Because it had this. A force. A presence. Something older than any empire. Something that protected this world. The Zorvath had mocked humanity for staying on one planet. Now Valkor knew why. This was no ordinary world. This was a trap. Valkor stared at the figure before him, his mind racing. His empire had believed Earth was weak, an easy conquest. But this being, this force, proved otherwise. His throat was dry, but he forced himself to speak. "What are you?" The figure's glowing eyes locked onto his. "I am the Guardian." The wind picked up around them, carrying whispers that weren't words but memories. Visions of alien fleets, much like his own, descending upon Earth, only to vanish without a trace. His heart pounded. "You've done this before." The Guardian took a step forward. The ground beneath its feet pulsed with energy, as if the planet itself was alive. "Many have come," it said. "None have left." Valkor clenched his fists. "That's impossible. We." Before he could finish, the air around him changed. The trees darkened, the sky above twisted, the stars flickering unnaturally. The whispers grew louder. The Guardian raised a hand. Reality itself seemed to shift. And then Valkor saw them. The remains of those who had come before. Ghostly echoes of ships, warriors, entire fleets, now trapped, frozen in time, their shapes flickering in and out of existence. The Zorvath commander staggered back. His people had never feared anything. But this was beyond war, beyond conquest. The Guardian's voice filled his mind. "Leave, now, or you will become one of them." Valkor's breath was ragged. He had to get off this planet. But how? His fleet was gone. His weapons were useless. And the Guardian. It wasn't just one being. It was Earth itself. And it was warning him one last time. Valkor's mind raced. Escape. That was all that mattered now. But how? His fleet was gone, his technology failing, and this Guardian was unlike anything he had ever encountered. He reached for his wrist communicator, still dead. His armor's emergency beacon, offline. His own body felt weaker, like the very air of this world was draining his strength. But Valkor was Zorvath. He would not surrender to fear. His eyes narrowed. If this planet is so powerful, why do humans still rule it? Why have they not been wiped out like the others? The Guardian tilted its head slightly. The whispers in the wind fell silent. Then it answered, "Because they are part of it." A chill ran down Valkor's spine. "What?" The Guardian took a step forward. The ground trembled. The others who came here sought to conquer, to take. They did not belong. And so, they were erased. Asterisk, it gestured toward the distant city. But humans, they were born here. They are tied to this world in ways your kind cannot understand. Asterisk. Valkor's jaw clenched. That's nonsense. Every species conquers. That is how the strong survive. The Guardian's glowing eyes flashed. Then call your reinforcements, Zorveth. Let us see if your kind will survive. Valkor hesitated, but only for a moment. He pressed the emergency override on his suit. A pulse signal fired into the sky, cutting through whatever interference had blocked him before. If any of his ships remained, if there were survivors, they would come for him. The Guardian sighed. Fool. Above them, the sky cracked open. A single Zorvath warship, damaged but still operational, descended through the clouds. A desperate signal rang through Valkor's communicator. Commander, we're coming for you. Valkor smirked. Earth wasn't invincible. His empire had conquered hundreds of worlds. This one would be no different. The Guardian took one last look at him. Then it vanished. But the moment it disappeared, the air changed. The forest around him darkened. The wind grew heavy with something unseen, something waking up. And above his warship, his only hope, began to fall apart midair. Valkor's smirk faded. He had made a terrible mistake. Valkor watched in horror as his last remaining warship, his only chance of escape, began to disintegrate in the sky. It wasn't an explosion. There were no weapons, no visible attack. The ship was simply coming apart. Metal plates peeled away like dry leaves. The energy core flickered and died. The mighty Zorvath vessel, built to survive the harshest battles, was crumbling like sand in the wind. His communicator crackled. Commander, we're some things. The voice was cut off. Silence followed. The warship, once a symbol of Zorvath's power, never reached the ground. By the time the debris should have crashed, there was nothing left. No wreckage, no smoke, no remains. Valkor staggered back. His fleet was gone. His empire had no idea what had happened here. And now he was alone. The whispers returned. They were no longer faint. They were loud, angry, unforgiving. The trees twisted unnaturally. The ground beneath his feet rumbled. Earth itself was waking up. A deep, unnatural voice, no longer just the Guardians, but something far greater, echoed across the land. You were warned. Valkor turned, running as fast as his weakened body allowed. But there was nowhere to go. The sky above darkened, the stars disappearing one by one. Reality itself was shifting. The Zorvath had believed Earth was a weak, primitive world. Now, Valkor understood the truth. Earth was not just a planet. It was a prison, a trap for those foolish enough to come uninvited. And the moment his fleet had arrived, it had already decided their fate. Valkor fell to his knees, gasping for breath as the air grew heavy. His vision blurred. The last thing he heard before darkness consumed him was a final, chilling whisper. Now, you belong to us. Darkness, silence, endless nothingness. Valkor's mind drifted, trapped in a void where time had no meaning. He wasn't dead, but he wasn't alive either. He existed, yet he didn't. Then, a voice echoed through the emptiness. Do you understand now? Valkor tried to move, but his body no longer obeyed him. He was weightless, powerless, trapped. A sudden flash of memories, not his own, but Earth's, flooded his mind. He saw civilizations long forgotten, powerful empires that had once dared to take this world. All erased. Earth had always been a mystery to the galaxy. A single planet, never expanding, never conquering. Other species assumed it was weakness. But the truth was far worse. Earth did not need to conquer, because it consumed those who tried. Valkor finally understood. His fleet had never been defeated. They had been absorbed. Their knowledge, their strength, their very existence had been taken. And now it was his turn. The whispers grew louder. They were no longer voices of warning. They were welcoming him. His vision snapped back. He was no longer in the void. He was standing on Earth, but something was different. His armor was gone. His body felt strange, lighter, stronger. Then he saw his reflection. He wasn't Zorveth anymore. His golden skin had turned pale. His eyes, once sharp and reptilian, were now human. Panic surged through him. No, this isn't real. But the Guardian's voice whispered one final truth. It is real. And now, you are part of us. Valkor screamed, but no one would ever hear him. Somewhere in a distant galaxy, the Zorveth Empire would wonder why their fleet had vanished. They would assume a battle had been lost. They would never know the truth. That Earth never needed an empire. It was already growing.